Every day, thousands of women throughout New York City are afraid to go to work because they don't have an order of protection against their batterers. They spend days looking for a place to live because their abusers have forced them out of their own homes. And it can be terrifying and tragic for a woman to seek help in the family court system without legal representation.
I know I was one of them.
Imagine yourself alone, abused, and threatened by your partner, trapped in a bewildering legal system that can take your children away, that can deport you. A competent lawyer shouldn't be a luxury, but for many battered women who go to New York's family courts for protection, it is. For many of these women, inMotion is a lifeline. For them, inMotion means hope.
It was horrible, and it got to the point where I was afraid to leave the house. He told me that his father had killed his mother, so it's nothing. So I said, what is that supposed to mean? You know, and he's like, you figure it out. You can see what I can do to you. And before I know it, he backed me up against the refrigerator and, you know, had his hand in my face. And he was like, if you ever call the police to this house, they will pick you up in a body bag.
This is the Bronx Family Court. When women have to come to court without legal representation here, it's really hard for them to understand what their rights are and to understand what they need to do in order to secure their rights. Sometimes the abusers do have lawyers to represent them, and when inMotion becomes involved and gets attorneys involved to represent these women, that levels the playing field.
inMotion is the crucial connection between some of New York's most talented lawyers and women for whom everything is at risk.
inMotion, how can we help you?
During an argument, he punched me in the stomach in front of our daughter. I'd be deported if I didn't give him what he wanted.
Not all abuse is physical. For many women, the threat of violence or financial abandonment can be devastating.
He was always threatening physical abuse. And the more we disagreed, the more I got the threats. I told him I wanted out. He said, you can do this the easy way or the hard way. I didn't know that I had any rights. So when I got to Simpson, Thatcher, and Bartlett, I was really nervous, very nervous at first. A huge conference room reserved for me with fresh, young, eager people. I didn't know what pro bono really meant. Like, you're just doing it because you don't have anything else to do. I don't know how passionate they were gonna be. And I needed passion. I was really impressed. And then the minute I sat down, I started to feel comfortable.
You need to tell us all the facts of the case.
Keep track of everything that he does, anything that he violates or anything.
We treat Maxine like every other client we have that comes into our offices for a meeting, whether it's the head of a giant corporation or one woman who's in need of our legal help. We had to defend her, to help her stay in the country, to help her keep custody of her child, to get support for her child, and to get protection against someone who was being abusive to her.
Having been raised by a single mother, I also put myself in her shoes because I can understand firsthand the difficulties that a single mother experiences. So I understood that this isn't a normal case where there's two commercial parties, and once the case is over, they each go their separate ways.
inMotion connects women in crisis with attorneys who want to help. It trains lawyers and mentors them as they represent women in Supreme and family court.
When I was a child, my parents went through a bitter custody battle in the Bronx family courts during their divorce. And when I grew up and became a lawyer, I learned about inMotion. I thought it was the perfect opportunity to work with women who had gone through similar situations as my mother had.
I love the fact that inMotion operates very lean. And as a partner at Ernst & Young, I know that the money contributed goes directly to benefit the women that are the victims of domestic violence. It's not something I like to talk about, but I was a victim of domestic violence at home, and I know how devastating it can be. Why should people support inMotion? Because it was my story, and it could have been yours.
One day I called my client, and her son answered the phone, and I said, can I speak to your mommy? This is Caroline, the lawyer. And he said, are you the woman who's going to stand up for us? And I said, yes. That just said it all to me, because that's why I do this, to stand up for women who can't stand up for themselves in court.
inMotion takes the hard cases, and it's a real challenge, but it's important work that needs to be done.
This is what I went to law school for, to go to court and advocate on someone's behalf and have a positive impact in their life.
I can laugh out loud and not be scared that somebody's gonna tell me to shut up. My son looked at me like, oh, that's a normal emotion. Like, you're allowed to do that? And then he just started laughing too, and I don't even remember what we were laughing about. inMotion played a major role in making me believe in myself again, making me want to, go after my dreams.
inMotion is really all about action, about being able to act quickly when a woman and her children are in crisis. You can be a crucial connection for a family in crisis. Whether you volunteer your time or make a generous financial contribution, you will help inMotion ensure that even more women receive the justice they deserve.